Well, welcome to part 3 of Charge with Confidence and Convert Your Expertise to Cash. So, part 3 is about strengthening the beliefs you need to gain the results you desire. Okay, now, as I said earlier, your belief set is the primary factor in you achieving the results you desire. It's either working for you or against you. You're going to carry it into every activity you do, every thought you think, every word that you speak, and it's going to affect the energy you bring into a room and influence every encounter you'll have with others. It can make things difficult or flow with ease. Having been a person who is so kind of bound up in perfectionism and worrying what everybody thinks about me and et cetera, I brought that into every relationship and every encounter. And I have to say, a lot of the times I didn't feel free. And I don't even know if the people that I was dealing with or in relationship with felt free. So the freer you are in your belief system, the freer you're going to be with others. Now, I'm not talking about deep therapy here. I'm really not. I'm not suggesting you analyze your navel till the cows come home. I am recommending that you do take the time to become aware and understand what negative thoughts are embedded within. Which ones are holding you back from your dreams and your destiny? At one time, the brain was thought to be fixed and set. Brain scientists now know that our brains are flexible and neuroplastic. They can change. Now, this is a big concept and topic, but for the sake of this training, let's focus on limiting beliefs that commonly cause resistance to your financial success in charging well for your services. But before I do, I want to lay out some basics, okay? Everything is energy, and thoughts carry energy. They put out energy, vibrations. I used to have a problem with this whole idea of everything being energy, but Einstein said it, so I think he's a pretty good source for that. Number 2, there are fear-based thoughts and love-based thoughts, and they actually look different in our brains. In fact, fear-based thoughts look like trees in the dead of winter. When they look at all the brain cells and the receptors and the neural connections, they look like trees in the dead of winter. But love-based thoughts actually look like broccoli, like full and richly, intensely fibered, connected, lots of connections. Number 3, love-based thoughts cooperate with God's intention and provision for the universe and you, which is really all set up to support us in our purpose. You have heard it said that God is love, and everything He made in love and for love. So when we are working out of love in our purpose, then our thoughts are being aligned with God. We're in flow. Think about how much lovelier it is to be with a person who is flowing in grace, confidence, and peace than one who's uptight, nervous, or overbearing. That's what fear-based thoughts produce. Number 4, fear-based thoughts also resist God's plans and can even block the abundance and provision that is due you. And number 5, when we have love-based thoughts operating at the same time fear-based thoughts are, then we have what's called double-mindedness, which is the basis for doubt. Double-mindedness creates doubt, awkwardness, and confusion. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. You can feel really confident about your services and the benefits it provides, and at the same time hate dealing with the money. So that produces this conflict within. And I want you to kind of be aware of that, what it feels like to have conflict within. So this is going to cause you to avoid the whole business of money or make you actually ineffective when you take action. I had this one client who worked really hard in her craft, and she had good healthy fees and a good strong clientele, but she still had trouble making her monthly nut. Well, why? Because she often forgot, in quotes, to bill for some of her work, or her invoicing and collecting policies were ineffective and unenforced. I mean, she had some in place. Some of them were working for her, some weren't. But even the ones that were good, she didn't really enforce. She wanted to kind of avoid the whole issue. Fortunately, she also wanted to get over that and become a profitable business and get paid well for the services that she provided. So with some positive mindset work and a little bit of tweaking of her policies, she increased her cash flow significantly. We can all do that. We don't realize sometimes that it's double-mindedness. It's a conflict within that is affecting our pocketbooks. So let's look at some beliefs that cause resistance to your financial success in business. And then we'll start with the ones that have to do with you. All right, belief number 1. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough, good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, clever enough, connected enough, disciplined enough. One of the things my mother used to say to me was, Marianne, you're too analytical. I was just talking to my husband about this the other day. Or you're too this, or you're too that. A lot of the way we are that way for a purpose. And at one time, I felt like insecure about being analytical and looking at things sometimes too deeply or reading and seeing underneath the surface of things. I felt like that was a bad thing. But it really wasn't a bad thing. It's perfect for what I do. But it made others uncomfortable, so they made me feel like there was something wrong with me about it. I want us to look at that, and we can't really delve into it too much on this call or this training, but, be thinking about that. Where in your life have you been thought or told you're too much of this or too much of that and not enough of this or that? And then you end up feeling defective. It could be that those very things, that way about you is important for what it is you're here to do. So, I don't know if you knew this, but it was kind of an eye-opener to me. What you believe and how you feel about yourself will control your prosperity. It is said that our perceived self-worth affects our net worth. Our perceived self-worth affects our net worth. So all negative thoughts, almost all anyway, that we have about ourselves can be boiled down to one basic thought, one basic belief, and it's I'm not enough. In some way, somehow, I'm not enough. And it masquerades as other beliefs like, I don't know if people will view me as credible. After all I have is life experience. I don't know if I can do this. Nobody really wants what I have. I don't think I have what it takes. I've never been paid much before. Doesn't that indicate my services don't have much value? What if I can't measure up to the promise? What if I fail? What if I can't deliver? All of these are subsets of the I'm not enough belief. Our beliefs come from evidence built up through the years. Eventually, life becomes about making those beliefs right and making life's reality reflect those beliefs. I had this one client who came home from school with a bad grade, and her father was rarely available to her. He was always gone, but he certainly made himself available for this. He smacked her so hard and called her names that he imprinted the "you're a failure" on her heart and mind. I don't think she knew this. Of course, she didn't know this until much later, but it kept surfacing. She was always trying to gain her dad's out-of-reach approval. And so she became this extremely hard worker. But it never felt like it was enough, that she was enough. And she had this stellar career, but she still felt lacking. So when she transitioned out of that career to pursue her dream business of coaching, this fear swept over her in waves of doubt, trying to keep her from moving forward. An underlying belief that you're not enough will cause fear of failure to dominate you. Or maybe fear of disappointing others to dominate you, or fear of being judged a fraud. Working with someone to help you identify your brand of perceived insufficiency is very important so you can challenge the truth of it. The bottom line is this. If you're struggling with charging, or you're broke a lot of the time, or you feel like you just don't have enough finances, there's a story you may have come to believe, and it's this. You just aren't good enough. And this permeates everything and creates, at a minimum, this awkward discomfort. And usually we want to avoid those situations that make us feel that way. When we are in the money conversation with a potential client or customer, as we have seen, all kinds of emotions can overtake us, and they happen fast. We often don't even know from where they come, but there they are. And even if you mask it, your prospective client can feel it. Maybe she won't know exactly what she's feeling, but it will be uncomfortable for her too. She may have been interested in what you have to offer, but for some reason she doesn't quite trust you. Something feels off. If you are energetically conveying the message to your prospective clients that you're not good enough, or there's something defective about you, or that even charging for your services is hard for you, then tell me, why would she trust you to help her with her struggles and frustrations? So, the marvelous news is, your inadequacy, insufficiency, or deficiency is a bald-faced lie. And I would even take those words, I'm not enough, put them in a circle, draw a line through it like the no smoking sign, and write over it, lie. I have found when people do this, they're putting a stake in the ground about that, and it shifts things. Now, maybe you've been programmed within from your youth, and every person, experience, or circumstance has convinced you it's true. You're not enough. But you know what? Today is a new day, and you get to rewrite the script, tell a new story about you, and be grounded and established in the truth. God's truth. In His eyes, you are and always have been perfect, magnificent, creative, and loving. Why? Because you come from Him. And that means you are born of perfect love. Yes, let me repeat that. He made you and sees you as perfect. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go through the process of aligning your beliefs with God's. And the first step is to call a lie a lie. So what's the truth? The truth is, I am more than enough. You are more than enough. I am magnificent and perfect in the eyes of God. You are perfect and magnificent in the eyes of God. So the first step is really to call a lie, own it as a lie, and then step into the truth. Claim the truth. You are more than enough. You have to be. God made you. Now, for a long time, I was very insecure. Even though I had much to offer, I didn't believe I did. I was often rejected as a kid for being different. I looked different, that's for sure. The only Asian in, your school. You look different. People don't get it. And what people don't get, they kind of shy away from. Well, I had to work very hard to get invited to parties. And I was the last to be chosen on sports teams. And I tried out for every play, class office position, cheerleading slot, and I was never selected. And I mentioned that earlier. Now, as a successful adult, people were often intimidated by me. I mean, that blew me away. Why would anybody be intimidated by me? When you feel like you're not enough, you don't feel like you're a person of influence. You don't feel like you're a powerful person. You don't feel like somebody that has the ability to intimidate others. So you don't see it. And I don't want to be a person that intimidates anybody. But I couldn't understand sometimes why people would shy away from me. And sometimes it was my intelligence that they were, and I really even never thought I was very smart. But sometimes it was my intelligence that intimidated them. And I had this innate strong leadership skills, but when you don't feel like you're enough, you don't really exercise them, but they still come out in some way. And that can intimidate people. And I also had these innate strengths that I didn't recognize. And a lot of the reasons why I didn't recognize them was because I was too worried about other people's approval. And when you're focused on that, you don't operate in flow. You're just always trying to react. Keep safe. You even make others safe so that you're safe. Well, eventually, thank God, I devoted myself to discovering what God thought about me. I embraced His thoughts and I surrendered mine. Now, it wasn't an overnight process by any means, but it did change my life. The more I aligned myself with God, the more I believed in my own value and worth, and the more immune I became to judgment and criticism. I mean, a lot of us hate judgment and criticism, and we'll do anything to avoid that. Sometimes we react to it by saying, well, I'm just going to say whatever I feel like, thinking that that's our way of overcoming it. But that's just another defensive posture. You're not operating in love still. Now, when you align yourself with God, the way He thinks about you, your value, and the worth that He's given to you, which is higher than you could even imagine, you do become immune to these things. And for me, rather than feeling like I belonged nowhere, I began to feel like I belong everywhere. Once that started happening, people around me began to treat me differently. They even said things like I radiated and glowed, and they loved being in my presence and feeling the calm and the wisdom. And when I spoke from stage, I was told over and over again that I had the it factor. I wasn't all consumed with me anymore, how I was coming across, how I was doing, and gave me the freedom to connect with my audience easily and naturally. And this is how it is with my work, too. I'm so about the other person now because I'm so settled in my own self that I can be and hear exactly what is needed in that given moment. Well, attracting new clients was the same. I didn't have a large list. I was erratic in my blogging. My social media presence was lacking, but it didn't matter. Being authentic and available to be used by God, people often told me why they wanted to work with me, rather than me going into this long spiel about why they should. Oh my gosh, do you know how awesome that is to be released of that? And it's not like I don't answer questions and tell them the benefits they're going to get, but it's different. It's about them, them wanting me to convince them. Not even that. Let me put it this way. They're already convinced that they want to work with me even before they get to me. But they want to have some logical reasons to back up that emotional draw that they have. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, that doesn't mean every conversation resulted in a coaching contract. But with love and respect, every conversation can end up being what it's intended to be. So many of my clients are discovering this wonderful truth for themselves. Loving who you are allows others to love who they are. And it creates this space of freedom and unconditional acceptance. It invites honesty, creativity, and good work to abound. In this environment, it's so easy to let each other's genius flow freely. Now, a second belief that we often have trouble with is, I'm not worthy. This is a core belief that creates insecurity and fear. This belief blocks more people from achieving financial success than almost any other. The I'm not worthy belief is similar to the I'm not enough belief, but it's slightly different. This doesn't have as much to do with your abilities or competencies or attributes, but your value as a person. Now, there's a number of reasons why we can feel guilty. We can feel unworthy. And it's going to take too long to create this exhaustive list. But a belief in unworthiness will cause self-sabotage like no one else's business. It'll put a glass ceiling on how high you advance. And it can even repel money. It's going to cause you to be jealous of others and make you feel like a victim in life. So I want to help you with this in case this is a part of your psyche. Because what I have discovered is this. Guilt is usually behind this belief. Guilt. So let me explain. Women particularly seem highly sensitive to guilt. And you know that feeling where you've done too many of the wrong things or not enough of the right? So guilt shows up in a couple of different places. Let's just kind of pick this apart a minute. I feel like the more we know about these things, then the less power they will have over us. So first, somewhere in your past, you've made mistakes. You've knowingly committed wrongdoings or did things you now regret. You might not think much about it, but every now and then it surfaces and it pricks your heart. Okay, that's one kind of scenario. Another scenario is more current. It's what you're doing now. You spend money you shouldn't have. You bought coaching programs you've never used. You've stalled too long in writing that book. And now someone else has taken the topic. You kicked the dog in the morning. You yelled at your kid. You say things to yourself like, when will you ever learn? Oh, great, you did it again. Get a grip, huh? Well, yeah, just focus in. Okay? Now, let me give you a quick remedy here. Forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself and others, that is a cure for guilt. That's all. You don't have to go back and, try to fix all the wrongs now. And some of the things you can't even do anything about anymore. All right? And you don't even have to say, I'm never going to do that again and I'm going to be totally different. Take the pressure off yourself and just let yourself off the hook. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself and do the same for others. The more you do it for you, the more you can do it for others. It's part of how you achieve your freedom. There's something about guilt, and it carries with it the subconscious need for punishment. All right, I want to repeat that. Guilt carries with it a subconscious need for punishment. Do you know what that means every time you want to move forward? Or you do move forward, or you break through a barrier, or you succeed in your goals? Yeah, it means sabotage. You will sabotage. Why? Because success and fulfilling your desires is inconsistent with your hidden belief that you need to be punished. I want you to process this a minute. And every time I talk about this with people, oh my gosh, it releases them, but at first it doesn't resonate. So I want you to think about that again. Your success in fulfilling your desires is inconsistent with your hidden belief that you need to be punished. That's what guilt does. It creates that dynamic. Well, how does this relate to charging well for your services? Well, because you don't deserve success or to be paid well or to work with a fabulous client, you will find a way to make the conversation go sideways. Even if you're able to sign up a few new clients, your subconscious mind will say, this is wrong. This isn't right. It needs to be corrected. So you'll reach the ceiling and things will go back to the level you deserve or what you think you deserve. Now, you may need to go back and fix some mistakes and right some wrongs if you can and if it's right to do that. All right? But don't get hung up on that. Strive to live in a state of forgiveness toward others and yourself. And maybe what you can do right now is, make a declaration about that. I choose to forgive myself. Journal about it. People are looking for leaders. You lead well when you are confident about who you are and what you offer. And one way to get confident is by understanding the belief system. Know that you're worthy. Know that you're worthy. Know that you're worthy. Forgive. Get rid of all the garbage, the interference. And that will do huge, immense things to build the confidence that you need in order to move forward. Your confidence is your attraction power. Your confidence is your attraction power. Okay? Well, this concludes part 3, and we will take up part 4, which has to do with your belief system around money. All right? Stay tuned.